Before we get started, you know domaintools.com, right? I can type whois.sc/domain name really fast, and I do it daily, but until recently, I didn't know how powerful their other tools were. If I want a domain name, I can set a free alert to notify me when it changes status. If it goes to auction, I can use their sales history tool to find comps and determine my maximum bid. After I buy it and develop the domain into a business, I can set up alerts for any domains registered that contain my trademark, and I can set up registrant alerts of all my competitors so I can keep an eye on what domains they're buying and know what they're up to before they make any announcements. Domaintools.com needs to be in your toolbox like it is in mine. Go sign up for an account today on domaintools.com. It's free. My second sponsor is David E. Westlow at Wiley Ryan. Imagine having a legal issue like a UDRP or a cease and desist. Imagine having to get an agreement put together quickly for buying or selling a domain name. And imagine going to your family lawyer who just doesn't get it, or one of the expensive law firms in your city who are going to charge you thousands of dollars. Then imagine going to David E. Westlow, who will understand your domain name portfolio and your intellectual property assets, understand the domain name environment, and be able to help you out quickly. David E. Westlow. I trust him, and I suggest you give him a call. The first initial consultation is free. Finally, did the Panda updates kill your organic search engine rankings on Google? Are you now on page 2 or worse, receiving a fraction of the traffic you used to? It's time to visit page2sucks.com. You heard me right, page2sucks.com. It's a Q&A site like Quora or Stack Overflow, but it's focused on helping you get to the page 1 of the organic search results. Go check out Page 2 Sucks, post a question, and get the answers you're looking for quickly. Here's your program. Hey everyone, my name is Michael Seiger, and I'm the publisher of DomainSherpa.com, the domain name authority and the place where you can learn about the domain name industry directly from the experts themselves. Science fiction is a genre of literature, television, and movies that encompasses futuristic science and technology, space travel, and of course, aliens. I think my favorite science fiction series was Star Trek, the original series, and my favorite episode must be the Tribbles, those small, fuzzy little balls of purring sound that reproduced at an amazing rate. If you search for science fiction on Google, you'll find about 186 million results. And using the Google AdWords keyword tool, you'll find 60,000 global monthly and 12,000 US-based monthly exact match search queries with an average CPC of about 90 cents. It's an enormous industry. The website currently in position number 3 of those 186 million organic results on Google for science fiction is sciencefiction.com. And today we're joined by the founder and CEO of sciencefiction.com, Patrick Ruddell. He is also the head cook at chefpatrick.com, a leading domain name industry blog. Patrick, welcome to the show.
Howdy, how you doing? Thanks for having me.
Great.
You kicked off those science fiction stats and it just blew my mind. I didn't even realize there was that many search results.
It's enormous. And, to be at number 3 of such an enormous pool of information around the world is quite an accomplishment for such a short period of time, and we'll get into that a little bit. So, Patrick, I like to start the show with a little background on the guest. So I want to ask you to start with, what's your favorite science fiction series and why?
Oh my God. Okay, so this is gonna create controversy right here for you. I am not a huge sci-fi nut. I actually bought sciencefiction.com purely as a business decision, knowing that it was a huge niche and that it had this cult-like following of an audience. Something that I don't think many domain names or many websites can really bring like this can. But, new series, I do like science fiction, don't get me wrong. So I'd say as far as a new series, I've been watching Falling Skies on TNT. That's an awesome show. Star Trek, Star Wars, all the old stuff I definitely like. But, oh God, I don't know if this is good to admit, but I loved Smallville. Me and my wife, we watched every season of it until it was ended just recently. So that's a good show.
Great. Well, good series, and I actually just started watching Falling Skies. Also, fantastic series. If you have Comcast, you can actually go back and get the pilot and the first few episodes on demand, which caught me up after I found out about it. So do you consider? So let me ask you this. Let's find out a little bit about your domain name background. Can you tell us how many domain names you currently own, and generally what TLDs, how they shake out?
Sure, I have right now. I mean, I think like most domainers, we've kind of reduced our portfolio, get rid of the garbage. When I started in the industry about 3 years ago, my philosophy was just buy everything and I'm going to make $1 million. And it didn't work that way. I don't know what happened, but so I trimmed the fat, and as we went by, I'm down to about 300 domain names, which I can either sell or develop. I have a development plan for everything I own at this point, and that's kind of how I, tailored it down to what I have, so I could say, you know what, if it doesn't sell, I'll do this. And my philosophy when I first started the industry was have these 3, 4, 5,000 domain names and flip them. Just do quick flips, and that's how I started. Was a quick flipper. If I got $25 for a domain I paid $8 for, I was happy. You do that a couple hundred times per month, you can earn a living. But it's a lot of work, a lot of tedious work, and something I'm not interested in doing anymore. I'm on to bigger and better things. So, I probably wouldn't even look at offers under, $1,000 for a domain name I own. It's just not even worth responding to at certain points.
Sure.
So, short answer is 300.
Okay. And how did you first get into domain investing?
So I was a real estate investor, 4 years ago. Very successful in that. We bought and sold roughly 300 investment properties in the Tampa Bay area.
Wow.
Did very well living. Market, took a downturn in 2008. Actually sold my company because I'm a very brandable guy, as you can see with Chef Patrick. Company name was Mr. 3 Days. Had an awesome little cartoon character. We spent tens of thousands on, marketing benches and billboards and newspaper advertising. So it was a real brand. And when the market took a downturn, I realized I didn't want to work that hard anymore to make the money. It was a great living. I'm actually very spoiled, and my wife and I talk about this to this day. Real estate, a quick flip, I make 20 grand. Quick flip in domaining is a little bit different. Maybe it's $1,000, a little bit different.
Right.
So I sold the company. I made a significant amount of money off that. In 2008, I actually took those profits, and that's when I bought those thousands of domain names thinking, hey, I'm going to buy online real estate. I say I'm a real estate expert because I really am. That's what I know. I know physical real estate. I know single family residences. So I figured I'd take that knowledge and transfer it over to the online world. And there are so many similarities that for me, it's made my domaining career a million times easier than I'd say someone coming in off the street that doesn't know real estate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. And there are a lot of similarities. But how did you first decide I'm going to go online real estate? Did you have a few domain names that you got an offer on, and that led you to think about transferring your knowledge offline to online, or what was the impetus that caused you to think about online real estate?
For me, I hate to say it again, but real estate, my biggest thing in real estate was online marketing. And buying and selling houses online. In Tampa Bay, I was one of the first investors to bring these crappy houses online so investors can look at pictures or video and see if they want to buy a house, compared to us going out, driving 30 minutes to look at the house, drive back and decide it's a waste of time. So building that online brand, something I even did back as early as 97. I was 19 years old. We had a website. So I always knew it was about online branding, and although I had never had an offer for a domain name I owned, I knew there was the potential for it. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until I actually bought a couple thousand domain names that I found namepros.com. Mm-hmm. And that's really where I started shifting from a novice collector, as Morgan Linton would say, stop collecting and start investing. I stopped just collecting domain names and really figured it could be a business. And that's when it just shifted for me. So Name Pros was a great head start for me. I learned a lot of information on there. People will tell you, forums are good and bad, and you know what? Figure out for your own. I think you have to figure out what information is good for you.
Right.
But it really helped me a lot. And then, of course, reading blogs like DN Journal, Park.com. Actually, I was in Tampa Bay, so Park.com and Ron Jackson were both local. I had an opportunity to meet them first in the industry. And once you meet those guys, you want to be in the business. You want to be
right.
You want to be Ron Jackson, right? So next comes chefpatrick.com.
Sounds good. So you started chefpatrick.com. You started buying domain names and flipping them. Eventually, you accepted a job with Oversee.net and the brokerage arm Moniker.com. I feel like I have to bring up an issue in your background in order for the interview to be complete, and we can just get it out of the way.
Sure,
I'm
no
not
problem.
one to harp on mistakes, Patrick. I've made plenty in my life, and I hate it when my wife brings them up. But I think our readers and watchers expect a certain level of journalistic inquiry from me. So in early 2011, an event took place. Some called it Monikergate. As I understand the situation, you breached protocol at Moniker, looked up an owner's name for a domain name under privacy. The domain name was chefpatricksucks.com. Is that roughly correct on the order of events?
Sure. I mean, what you said is a true statement. It was a personal in nature domain, I felt. Knowing the individual, I'm obviously not going to say the person's name, but knowing the person and thinking that they were a friend and some events that occurred, I took it as a huge insult. And for me, I know I was a Moniker employee, but I've been self-employed for 6-7 years. And I guess for a moment, I lapsed that I was an employee. I'm just not used to that.
Yeah.
And it was about my brand. It was, Chef Patrick, something that I created, 3 years ago, and I'm very protective of. If someone, questions my work ethic or anything related to the brand, I take it personally. So, I made a personal mistake, and honestly, would I do it again? I don't think I'd do it the same way, but I think that that person would have known that I knew they owned the name.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And just learning from that lesson myself, I went out and bought Domain Sherpa Sucks just to get it out of the way and make sure that I got my bases covered. So I think anybody watching this can learn a lesson. If you want to protect your brand, go do it. And as we've seen from WikiLeaks and some of the other sites, B of A went out and bought, I think, tens of, if not hundreds of domain names around the brands that they own with the word sucks attached to it, just to make sure that they own it.
I love it. I mean, honestly, it's amazing that how many domain names were registered from that instance. You say yourself, but it may have helped. It brought more awareness to privacy protection. It brought more awareness to the industry. And I'll tell you, a ton of Chef Patrick Suck type domain names were registered. Someone registered PatrickRuddellSucks.com.
Oh, man.
Sucks.com.
All right. So were you let go from your position at Moniker because of the incident, or did you leave on your own?
No, we left on great terms. I think you can see that if you go to chefpatrick.com, right at the top right-hand side, there's a premium banner for Moniker. So, it shows their support there. They've been a big supporter of DN Cruise. They came last year, and they're coming again this year. And those two instances happened after I left the company. Craig Snyder's coming again. He was a great speaker last year, great participant. He's going to do the same again this year. So those things just don't add up. If I left on bad terms, I don't see why they would throw money at me at sponsorship and attend an event that I'm holding.
Sure. All right, so I think that the industry in general hopefully is advancing in protections and security.